and welcome back to the 1 Million Cups Fargo podcast. 1 Million Cups is a free nationwide weekly program created by the Kauffman Foundation in 2012 and is designed to educate, engage, and connect entrepreneurs. 1 Million Cups is organized in 35 states across the country, and the Fargo, North Dakota chapter is one of the most active and largest in the nation. This week we heard from Martha Mink and Ashley Ham, co-founders of Dear NICU Mama, along with Deeip Sengar, founder of FoodLynk. Today we're going to kick things off with Dear NICU Mama, a nonprofit designed to connect, encourage, and create community with past and present NICU moms. Through online education, NICU family events, and hospital outreach programs, Dear NICU Mama is helping families persevere through this isolating experience by providing them resources, support, and hope. Let's listen in.
Yay, we're so excited to be here. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share. I love it. Well, should we hop in?
Yes.
Okay, well, we would just love to share a little bit of our founding story, as that's a pretty intricate part of how Dear NICU Mama came to be. So if we hop on over to the next slide, my son Silas was born at 28 weeks, and he had an 87-day NICU stay. It was completely unexpected, and as many NICU mamas will join in and say, I started to really experience a lot of that isolation. In the NICU that we were in, we had our own room, which was really nice for how long the stay was, but that also meant that I was extremely closed off from connection with other moms.
And my name is Martha again. I am actually a NICU mom ×2. I had my son JP, who was born at 25 weeks, weighing 1.5 pounds. Unfortunately, he only lived for a few days. And then I had my daughter JJ at 29 weeks. And as I say, she's been actively trying to murder me every day. But I didn't realize that these combined experiences and the time in between really escalated to a severe form of post-traumatic stress disorder that I didn't actually start to address in healing until I met my dear friend Ashley here.
Yes. So as I mentioned, I started to really feel that isolation of NICU motherhood. And I personally didn't have close friends in my life who had experienced the journey of the NICU. And so one day on Instagram, Martha messaged me and said, hey, I'm a NICU mom. I live in the area. Would you ever want to grab coffee? And I think I replied in like 30 seconds. I was like, yes, when can we meet? And so we got coffee, and we instantly bonded over our shared experiences, but also just understanding the grief and the sorrow of what it means to be in the NICU, and also how you celebrate every little win.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw a need in our community to celebrate NICU moms and to connect them. And so it kind of led to this dream of Dear NICU Mama.
Yeah.
So our mission is really to connect the past and the present NICU mom, bring them out of isolation and into a sisterhood of women that can stand alongside them as they heal both in and out of the NICU. And so I'll let you talk about the programs and services.
So we have basically 3 silos of programs and services. I think as nonprofit, because it can be really difficult to not have that mission creep. So we're really intentional about how we serve our moms. The first is through our events. We have our celebration photo shoots, which we'll talk about in a second. And then we have workshops and events about maternal mental health care. We have yoga and meditation workshops, body love, self-care workshops. We have our online support and education, which I think is the biggest chunk of our work. We have our social media platforms. We have the Dear NICU Mama podcast, which has over 13,000 downloads. It's weekly right now. We interview mamas on that. We have our online Facebook support group and the Dear NICU Mama shop. And then we also have our hospital outreach, which unfortunately has been kind of limited because of COVID, but we work directly with hospitals to reach out to NICU mamas there.
Yes. And so Martha kind of touched on it, but our celebration photo shoots were really the foundation of how Dear NICU Mama came to be. And so if you delivered your baby early, you didn't get to have those maternity photos to celebrate your pregnancy. And if you had a full-term NICU baby, sometimes depending on the length of your stay, you can feel like you missed that window of time to have those traditional newborn photos. And so we wanted to do something to celebrate and honor NICU moms and also their journeys in the NICU. And so this kind of launched our celebration photo shoots. And so the hope and purpose of these is that we would unite moms with a variety of NICU journeys. So as you can see in the photos, we had moms who had NICU journeys 16 years ago. We had moms who had NICU journeys a year ago, but we all shared that common experience of the NICU. And on the next slide, we show a couple more photos of another shoot that we did, and the response has been incredible. Every time that we are able to host one of these, we get the response that this changed my life. I feel celebrated, I feel seen, I feel heard, and it gives mom a tangible image to take with them after the shoot as well.
Yeah. And we can head to the next slide here where we'll talk about our events. These photos are from our first event that we had in September 2019 in the before times.
Yes.
And we had this event because we realized that access to maternal mental health care was really limited, and it could be very overwhelming and frightening for women who had never pursued mental health care before. So what we did was that we had local maternal mental health care professionals attend to introduce these women to the concepts of self-compassion, trauma healing, and it was a profound experience. As you can see, one attendee said, "This event changed my life." We had women who attended who said, "I was dealing with deep depression and suicidal ideation, and this turned me around. This saved my life." And that's exactly what we wanted to hear, for it to be a stepping stone to healing for moms. We can go to the next slide too.
And as every business in the world had to get creative with COVID, we took a leap and we had our first ever virtual event. And the beauty of the Dear NICU Mama Sisterhood is that our reach is not just local, we also have a national and international reach. And so this event was a way for us to connect with moms on an even more tangible level. We had 30 different states represented, we had 4 different countries represented, 90 moms attended, and it was life-changing, not only for the moms, but also for us. Yeah. We were able to bring in a world-renowned speaker, Parija Deshpande, who talked about, the NICU and the trauma and the nervous system, and the response was beautiful. We're so grateful that we were able to host the event.
Yeah. Lots of lifelong friendships built off that event.
Yes. And if you can't see, we are wearing some pieces from our shop. But as a nonprofit in our baby stages, we wanted to get creative of ways to raise and build funds so that we could serve our moms. And one way that we do that is through our Walking Letter of Hope collections. And we knew that we wanted to offer a collection that meant something to moms, but it's become so much more than that. We have moms that wear their shirts to their doctor appointments. We have moms that wear them in the NICU, because these are tangible Walking Letter of Hope reminders that you are braver than you feel. You are not alone. Healing is lifelong. And so the shop has really been a cool way for us to connect with moms all over the world.
Yes. Next slide. And finally, we have the Dear NICU Mama podcast. As I alluded to before, it's have over 13,000 downloads, which is shocking to us, but very exciting. We are the co-hosts, and on the podcast, we interview moms, past and present, of the NICU so that they can share their journeys, and through the process of walking through it, really start the process of healing. We also interview experts in pediatrics, maternal mental health care, OBGYNs, physical therapists, about all sorts of topics that can support NICU moms. We have found a lot of different audiences because of the podcast. It's been really wonderful. And our entire goal with the podcast was the ability for moms to be sitting in the NICU, to pop in their AirPods, listen to the podcast when they're nursing their baby or taking care of their child, and feel not alone.
Yes, absolutely.
Next up, we hear from Deeip Sengar, founder of FoodLynk, an online platform working to connect individuals with excess food at the end of the day to volunteers who will then deliver the food to a person in need. Their mission is to create purposeful linkages to reduce food waste and to use it to feed the needy. Let's listen in.
So, hey, thanks a lot. Really excited to be here because, first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. I have been hearing the discussion till now and really, really excited to be part of this community where the objective is to be the most generous region in the US or maybe the whole world. So this is the right place to be. So thank you very much. This really is an exciting opportunity for me and for FoodLynk and for every single other do-gooder who is looking at these kind of initiatives. So I'll start with the FoodLynk initiative, which is something which we established. It is a nonprofit which aims at reducing the food wastage and leverage the same to feed the needy. Now, There are a large number of organizations which are doing exactly the same thing. However, the difference here is that we are keeping technology up front, and we are making sure that we are creating those purposeful linkages in how we operate. So if we move to the next slide, we will see how we came up with this idea. So uh, uh, this idea actually originated when our kids, they saw the amount of food which is being wasted, and they wanted to do something about it. So the origination of the idea is from the kids, but then when we started researching this topic more and more, we found that there is a real good reason why we need to be in this area, and why we need to make sure that we enable this across different geographies. So the food paradox, as you can see, is that there are close to 700 million people who go to bed hungry each night, and this is across the globe. We also have a huge amount, 1.3 billion tons, which gets wasted globally. Now, if this food was appropriately used, these hungry people, they could be fed 4 times over. So it is that kind of a paradox which we are dealing with. So what is it that we came up with, which was not a very unique kind of an idea, but what is unique about this is what you will see in the next slide. So we came up with 3 different personas. We identified these 3 personas in a way where it is easy for each of the personas to be identified and be able to serve. So first is the volunteer, which could be anyone like you or me, who collects the edible food from the donors and delivers to the recipients. That brings us to the second persona, which is the donors. And these donors could be any restaurant, bakery, or any commercial outlet which may have some food at the end of the day or at the day of the stock taking, where they may want to throw off that food which is close to the shelf life. Now, if it is still edible, they would go to the app and they would indicate the availability of the food, and all volunteers in that geography would get a notification, and then collect that. The first volunteer who accepts that will collect the food and deliver it to the targeted recipient, which are also indicated in the app itself. So it pretty much works like an Uber app, where the notifications, they are sent to the volunteers. Once the volunteer picks up the food, the recipient also gets the notification that there is food on the way. That complete cycle is completed. And there are different provisions we've made in this to suit different geographies. And coming to different geographies, this is something which we started as a offline model, but then we started moving to the online platform after seeing the initial good results in the offline model. And today we've got some pilots going on in Singapore, India, and parts of US. So the why for each of the personas, of course, the volunteers, they want to contribute in the good deed. The donors, they obviously would not want to throw away the food, but get it utilized. The recipients, obviously, the basic necessities are met. Now, this kind of a circular economy, once created, would help as we move forward. So this is at a very, very high level where we are going with this, and really excited to be part of this community, and ready for any questions which the team may have.
After the presentations, we opened up our online platform to a Q&A session with the audience to dive deeper into the ins and outs of social entrepreneurship and their ventures. This week, we were joined by our host, Emma McIntyre, who is also the lead coordinator of 1 Million Cups Fargo. Let's listen in.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That is seriously so cool. I'm sitting next to a teammate and I turned over and I was like, this is amazing. I am so grateful that you are willing to bring this into our community. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the Dear NICU Mama gals, and we're about to jump into our question and answer portion. So those tuning in via Facebook Live, if you have a question for either of these stellar nonprofit, please leave them in the comment section and we will go ahead and throw those up on stage. I I have a question, I guess, off, which is you guys have full-time or part-time jobs outside of your nonprofit work. Can you talk maybe a bit about the advantage of having that other experience while you're doing the work that you're currently doing? Disadvantages.
I can start. So I am a full-time wedding photographer and entrepreneur on the side of doing Dear NICU Mama as my full-time job. And I'm really grateful for the past 7 years of learning what it meant to succeed in the entrepreneurial world. I kind of had 7 years of trial and error of what worked, what didn't work. And so I felt like going into the nonprofit world, it's been a total learning curve, don't get me wrong. But I'm really grateful for the experiences that I've had in running my own business to kind of implement some of those skills with Dear NICU Mama. So I think that having that background of running my own business and doing that has been really helpful as we kind of gain our feet and our ground in the nonprofit world.
Yeah. And during the daytime when I'm not a superhero is when I'm a Salesforce administrator, and I worked in and out of nonprofit higher ed institutions, financial institutions. So it's been good to have those ongoing connections and networking while we're building this, because I can ask and connect with other people in the industries I work in for advice, feedback, that type of thing. I'll say it's super hard though. I mean, especially when you have little kids, like I feel like I have 18 jobs and I end the day and I'm like, what did I eat today? And the answer is Domino's pizza crust. So that's where I'm at. But it's all about balance. We check in with each other all the time to see where we're at, and you just do it at the end of the day.
Yes.
A lot of respect. Yep. So I'm lucky in that manner. I think from being a full-time Microsoft employee, it's really good that the organization supports such initiatives. So having a full-time job and focus on FoodLynk over the weekend has been my passion for the last 2 years. This has actually helped me also evolve as a person and look at everything in a very different way. And that includes things within the professional realm as well. So personally for me, it has been pretty healing kind of an experience where I have been able to interact with the homeless, and I actually am gaining more than probably what I'm giving.
Awesome. We have a social entrepreneur cohort at Emerging Prairie right now that we're working with, and I can't imagine doing that work outside of your regular day jobs. So cheers to you and the growth that you're still able to have while you're working full-time opportunities. So the second question that I have, and just a reminder to our audience, if you have a question, leave it in the comments. We will get that pulled up on screen. But I'm curious, obviously there's sunshine in nonprofits, but there's also those more difficult barriers that you face that prohibit you from growth. And a part of that could tie back to the lack of time that you have. Can you maybe talk about a barrier that you guys are currently facing that isn't allowing you to grow in the way that you would like? And we'll start with the Dear NICU Mama gals.
Yeah. Is it super cliche to say COVID? The pandemic has prevented us. I feel like prior to the pandemic, we were on a really great trajectory to start to implement in-person support groups in hospitals and to really start building that peer support for moms that are currently in the NICU. And I think COVID forced us to get really creative. And so we, enhanced some of our virtual offerings and things like that. But I think just as everybody in the world has had to be creative, COVID has definitely put a little bit of a damper in some of our ability to do photo shoots or host events or do those in-person peer support groups. And so I would say the pandemic has been a big one.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah, I don't know.
I totally agree with that. I think the other thing, just to add on to that, is time for us. And staying true to the mission is really important in that as well, because we get a lot of requests for can you provide this service? Have you thought about doing this? Can you do this? And we appreciate all of the feedback, and we wish we could do it all. But I think because our virtual presence is so professional and beautiful because of this person right here. People think we have like a staff of like 10 people, full-time employees, when it's really just, these yahoos in our free time after bedtime, doing dishes and answering questions and working as hard as we can. So really being able to scale at the rate in which the need and the demand is too.
So from a FoodLynk perspective, talking of barriers, I think the goalpost keeps changing, and that probably is a part and parcel of the growth phase we are in at any point of time. So initially, when we started moving this from an offline to an online kind of a platform, the biggest barrier we found was that being from Microsoft, I was able to get the technical resources to get it online. However, it had its own kind of challenges where the consistency of the volunteers to be able to work on the same code day on day was not there, which was kind of creating its own kind of challenges. So I had to find another partner who would, in a dedicated way, be able to develop the app. And now that the app is ready, now the next barrier for us is how do we scale in different geographies? Because it does require the local presence. And that is where I actually reached out to our Microsoft office in Fargo. And then somehow I stumbled and got lucky talking to Emma, and here I am. So scaling is the next big thing, which is very, very geo-based.
I mean, if you say you're interested, give us like 2 weeks and you'll be fully immersed. We do have a question from our audience, and this is for the Dear NICU Mama team. This is from Andrew Parsons, and he asks, what is one new exciting program, event, or thing that you guys are working on?
Should we talk about our Mama Ambassador?
Yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking. So we're in development of a program called the Mama Ambassador Program. Ashley alluded to it a little bit before, but what it is veteran NICU moms are trained through a curriculum that we have developed that has been influenced by research from George Washington University and the National Perinatal Awareness Association to build a curriculum that really works and trains and is trauma informed for these peer support providers. And then we place those Mama Ambassadors in pairs for in-hospital peer support. Oftentimes, like we said before, there's a huge barrier within access to maternal mental health care. And oftentimes the women who end up in the NICU, there's a strong correlation between adverse outcomes for Black women, for BIPOC, for Indigenous mamas. And we also know that there is a correlation too between lack of mental health care support. So what we're trying to do is eliminate as many barriers as possible and put the resources and support right in the hospitals there for them.
Mm-hmm. A way that we currently do that is we partner with hospitals to offer informational cards. So the front of that card says you are not alone, and the back has access to our services. So that's been one way that we're able to get in the hospitals, but eventually when it's safe for us to be in hospitals again, we're gonna really launch that Mama Ambassador program and hopefully see some growth all across the states.
As we wrap up on some of our questions, because we're getting close to time. So we talked about barriers to entry. I would love to know about growth. So where do you picture FoodLynk and Dear NICU Mama? I was going to ask in the next 5 years, but I feel like it's scary to make plans right now. So maybe even in the next year, the next 3 years, and then we'll wrap with our final question after that of what can we do to serve you in succeeding with that mission. So in 5 years, where do you picture? We'll start with Deeip. Where do you picture FoodLynk?
I see FoodLynk as a technology platform which is actively used by all those do-gooders, the organizations which are already in this area, to be able to create more impact in the geographies they are in. I would also like to start this kind of circular economy in those areas where we do not have these kind of organizations which are able to provide food to the hungry. I'll give one quick example here. One of the organizations which reached out to me called Sundara, which is primarily in Asia, they collect soap from the unused soap or partly used soap from the five-star hotels. They recycle that and then provide it to the needy, and that has picked up more during COVID times. So they wanted to use our app, and I said, by all means, go ahead. The technology platform is yours. So in 5 years, I would want this to expand even beyond food if required.
Ladies?
Oh man, definitely our Mama Ambassador program. So definitely seeing that being implemented in hospitals all across the states, really training moms on how to lead peer support groups. And then of course, building our celebration photo shoot platform. So we would love to see other photographers in different regions trained in how to do these. And then we could see these implemented all over the states as well. And so, just expanding our services to more reach, having the capacity to do so. And we're really excited for what's to come.
Yeah, I think part of that too will be transitioning from being a volunteer-run organization to an employee-run organization so that we can actually keep up with the need and the demand. I think that is within reach for us, certainly. So definitely within 5 years, maybe even an office event space that we could have where we could even host some of these things too. We want to make sure that our resources are as diversified as possible too. So making sure that we're constantly checking in to make sure we're providing our materials and resources in multiple languages, and we're diversifying our board and our leadership team. So that's really important to us too.
Yeah.
Oh, all of this just makes my heart so very happy. This is fantastic. We end 1 Million Cups with the same question every week, which is, what can we as a community do to help you, whether it's reaching those 5-year goals or just something more in the short term. I don't know, ladies, if you want to kick us off with your ask from the community, and then we'll head over to Deeip.
Yeah, I'll say, 1 in 10 women end up with a baby in the NICU. And that's quite a lot considering how many people who are birthing parents who give birth to a child. So we often introduce ourselves in our organization and someone says, well, I know so-and-so and so-and-so, and I have a connection to this experience. So first and foremost, it's connecting those women, whether or not their NICU stay is happening right now or it happened 20 years ago, to our resources. Not only so they can benefit, but so they can also become an intricate and integral part of the sisterhood. Because the support to peer cycle for us is really important.
Yeah. Absolutely. And to just tag on to that, just sharing our resources. We have a lot of content on our social media that also is education for not just NICU moms, but family of NICU families or friends of NICU families on how to love and serve as they have loved ones in the NICU. And so just being a part of helping us share our mission and share our reach on social media is always really helpful as well.
FoodLynk to the FM area, how can we be of assistance, sir?
So we've got close to 1,000 homeless in Fargo-Moorhead area. The best thing we can do, and starting today, is to create what we call as Link, L-Y-N-K, the links, which is the set of those 3 personas in the Fargo-Moorhead area, and start using the app. So it does require effort. It does require local presence. So that is the ask which I have from the Fargo-Moorhead area.
And thank you to the 3 of you for taking time out of your morning to be here and share with us the work you're doing. So I will go ahead and let you go. But if you're looking to connect with any of them, you can find them on LinkedIn, because that's how I found their bios for today. So be sure to connect with them and help create those opportunities for their work to grow in our region. So thank you so much, guys, and we will see you later.
Thank you.
Now, before we go today, we just want to open up the floor to our live job board. So I do have something that I want to share from a live job board posting that we had. The Great North Pole is hiring an executive director This individual is responsible for day-to-day leadership, generating revenue, and the management of Great North Pole. I will go ahead and throw how to get contacted with them for this opportunity in the chat and comments. If anybody is hiring at your organization, please leave that in the comments section. While we can't share our live job board in person, we can still share these opportunities online. So please go ahead and share those in the comment section below. Before we go, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining today. Please make sure to look into Giving Hearts Week. It is truly a fantastic opportunity for nonprofits in our community and a great way for community members to be involved in nonprofit work. And like Amber said at the beginning, they're increasing their impact beyond just a monetary donation. So if you want to get volunteer experience, some way to connect with others in the community, I know that there are digital ways to do that safely with social distancing. So please make sure to check those out. We are so grateful that you were here to join us at 1 Million Cups Fargo today. We just want to give a huge thank you to our sponsors, Pro Resources, the FMCBB, Emerging Prairie for helping connect this each week. And then our 1 Million Cups team, Andrew, Jessica, Darby, Liz, we are so grateful. They make this possible every week. And don't forget to sign up for the coloring contest and win that mug. Please, 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 please. I will adorn my walls with your beautiful drawings. So thanks so much for being here with us today. And we will see you next week, same place on our Facebook Live. Thanks, and have a great rest of your Wednesday.
And that's all we got for this week's 1 Million Cups Fargo podcast. Thank you so much for listening in. 1 Million Cups Fargo is powered by Emerging Prairie, an organization dedicated to connecting and celebrating the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We'd also like to say a thank you to the following sponsors for their support: Midco, the Fargo-Moorhead CVB, the FM Area Foundation, City of Fargo, Pro Resources, and the Kilbourne Group. Catch you again next time on the 1 Million Cups Fargo podcast. See you then!